and we can start. So maybe let me start by introduction, just to let you tell me who I am and at Positionally in general. So my name is Nika. I'm a customer success manager here at Positionally, and my goal today is actually to teach you some of the best backlink earning techniques today. Along with showing you how to use our platform to manage your backlinks profile. However, this will be a really small part. There will be now and there some mentions of Positionally, but today's webinar is purely about you learning some great techniques that we are using at Positionally to actually earn some really amazing backlinks. If you want to contact me, you can always contact me at nika@positionally.com. I always have a Twitter, although I'm pretty sure it's difficult to memorize right now, but we will have a slideshow and we will have a recording, so you can check this out later on as well. Also, if you have any questions, please leave them at the end of the presentation. We will have I hope we will have some time to answer those questions. If we don't have the time, I will also make sure to reply to all those messages via email. But yeah, if you have any questions in the meantime, also you can write it. I will reply at the very end, but you can, of course, during the presentation also ask the question in the chat box, as I said. Okay, so let me tell you what I would like to cover today. So first of all, I would like to give you a small general introduction to backlinks. I am aware of that some of you are the beginners, some of you are more advanced, some of you are professionals. I hope every one of you will find something interesting within this presentation. However, I would like to start with an introduction. And then I will also briefly explain how the quality of backlinks can be established, and how we actually at Positionally also are doing that. Our provider is Majestic, so we take this from Majestic, but I will, of course, tell you a little bit about it also during the presentation. And I will also be showing you the difference between black hat and white hat techniques of earning backlinks, and then provide you with some, as I said earlier, with some amazing white hat techniques that actually we are using at Positionally. I hope you're ready. I hope you will find this material useful. So let's just dive in and let's start. So in general, in today's webinar, I'm going to be using cafelux.com as our example. We are not affiliated in any way with that coffee shop, but we just really like to use it as our example. I've never actually visited Cafe Lux. I heard their coffee is great, but I just know that they have some great, for instance, backlinks profile. So it's and this is a local shop, so that's why it's also an interesting example to be using, whether in a backlinks presentation or in the keywords presentation also. Okay, so let's start with the introduction. So what are backlinks? So a backlink, we also refer to it as an inbound link, is a link that another website posted about you and that is leading to your website. Of course, it can be also another way around. So a website is you are pointing to another website, and of course this will also be a link pointing to somebody. It will be also referred to as a backlink, but of course we are mostly concerned with the backlinks that are leading to our website at this point, in terms of earning them, of course. So in general, thanks to those backlinks, actually search engines can determine the popularity of your website, and essentially the way that it works is that websites pointing to you are telling the readers to go to your site, so they actually placed their vote of confidence in you. So in general, the more links you have, so the most those, I would call them votes, your website receives, the more popular it is considered to be. Of course, it's really important that those votes, those links are of high quality. If this is a spammy content, then the owner of the website that is pointing to you, they will pretty much, they will not, generally they will not link to you if you're not of high quality, unless they want to do something shady. But in general, any type of website want to just link to relevant content that is useful to their readers. So as an example below, you do have a website, onelumber.com, and they did write a piece where they included Cafe Lux, and they did point to the homepage for the people to actually go there because it was relevant to what they were writing about. Now the question is, why actually backlinks are important? And there are for several reasons. First of all, it's just easier for you to get discovered if your website is better linked in a better way. It's better for people to find you, and of course for crawlers, because crawlers then find you more easily. They start also any type of backlinks provider, they do first crawl the website that is most linked, and they start their journey from that. So if you are a website that has no links from anyone and you're not pointing to anyone, it's just really difficult, if not impossible, for the crawler to actually locate you. If they do locate you, it's going to be later than with other links. So the better the site, the better linked the site is, the easiest for you to be discovered. Another thing is the credibility. So you can actually gain this credibility because the website linking to you is giving you this, as we call it, a link juice. So this, I can call it an SEO power or the vote of confidence. You can actually, yeah, as I said, just gain this credibility, authority, thanks to the fact that a lot of people is referring to you as a valuable content, as a valuable author, for instance, or a valuable site that they would like their users to go to, because they just think it would be worth it for the person. And of course, lastly, it's just the more links you have, crawlers find that there are a lot of links pointing to your site, and it means that you are a relevant content. It means that it's a high quality content. So it means if it's shared a lot, then probably more people are likely to benefit from it. So because of that, they actually push those the position of such a website for a specific keyword. They're pushing there higher and higher. So you're actually gaining higher rankings. And of course, the higher rankings you get, the more traffic comes to you. Because if you're on position, if you're on second page, it's, the amount of traffic that or amount of people that will click on that result is way smaller than in a situation when you're position 1, 2, or 3, for instance. These are the three. So as I said, get discovered, gain credibility, and of course, increasing traffic without specific content, because it all boils down to, first you have to have a great content, and then you can start earning those backlinks. But without those two, you just cannot succeed in SEO or in the online world in general. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about this quality of backlinks, because I think it's really important that it's always quality over quantity. So no matter, you can have a lot of links, but if they are poor quality, it's not going to be valuable for you that much or for your website. So what does it mean that the link is of high quality? First of all, it has to be relevant, so it has to be related to your business. And second of all, it has to have the authority. It has to be something that is credible. It has to be a website that, as I was telling earlier, that it just has to be something that is beneficial, and that the crawlers, of course, people first, but then the crawlers, they do understand that this link is worth it. So what you will actually want is for the websites pointing to you to be influential. You want them to be popular. I would actually put relevant first, and then those that are relevant, they should be influential, they should be popular, trustworthy, they should be from people who are actually experts in your niche. And of course, edu and gov sites they are just the most authoritative. It's of course incredibly difficult to get links from those pages, but of course it's in certain situation it can be done. But of course, like, the general rule is just for the site to be trustworthy and considered valuable for the visitors, or for the readers. And now what we actually, and I think it will be really beneficial, I don't know, some of you probably are familiar with the Majestic Flow metrics, but if you don't, I think it's really important to look at those two metrics. Actually, a lot of SEO experts are saying that this is just the most accurate right now, a way of measuring the quality. And we do have a so-called trust ratio, which is the trust flow and citation flow taken together. together. As I said, this is all in Majestic. You can either check it in Majestic itself, or you can also check it with our Positioning Pro or Enterprise solution when we do provide you with those metrics. And so we first have, as I'm saying, trust flow, which is a metric that actually predicts how trustworthy a link will be based on how close it is to trusted and authoritative sites. So in general, the trust flow increases when links pointing to a site are of high quality. Now with the citation flow, this is a metric of the amount of this linkages, so the equity it carries, and it's based on the amount of links pointing to the site. So citation flow is about the amount of links, and trust flow is about the quality of the links. So the more links the site earns, the bigger the citation flow gets. And it would, you could be like, okay, let me try to look at the trust flow, let me look at the citation flow, but they only work when they are put together, because you should be actually looking at the trust ratio itself. So the general rule is that the trust flow should be higher than citation flow. So the trustworthiness of a particular site should be bigger than the amount of these links, and in general, it should be higher. The link would be still of high quality if the trust flow is lower than citation flow, but only if it is less than 2 times lower. So make sure that if you do look at those metrics, make sure that the trust flow is higher or a little bit smaller, but not significantly lower. And then also, a lot of people are saying that, and we do also agree with that trust flow above 15 is already a good link. Of course, with this trust ratio remains, just if the trust ratio is there and the trust flow is higher or slightly smaller, but not way smaller, and the trust flow is above 15, it's just a really great link. Okay, so we know the quality. Let's move then to the techniques, and let's move maybe first to the black hat techniques. So basically, black hat techniques are those aggressive tactics purely to boost rankings without benefiting the human audience. So ideas of a black hat technique would be, for instance, paying for links, because in general, any link paid for is considered an ad, so it should be made explicit. If it's not, then it's shady. Of course, if you do it once, it shouldn't harm you, but if it's done on a massive scale, it will be it can be really detrimental, and you can actually get penalized. The same is with the guest blogging. Of course, guest blogging is known to be a really great technique, but not if it's a guest blogging just for the sake of it, without caring about content. It should be always on the relevant sites and just related to your business. You can blog a lot on different websites, but it just still has to bring the value to the readers. Another thing is link exchange schemes. So the idea of, I'll give you a link and if you give me mine, this is definitely not allowed. And also spamming other sites for backlinks, especially in the comment section. It's actually sometimes can be used, of course, if you are actually, again, if it is beneficial. If it is a comment, for instance, beneficial, if you're trying to, for instance, get in contact with some expert or some authority in your niche, and for instance, he wrote a really in-depth and great article on a specific topic, then if you put a comment just stating that it was great, it was a great piece of content. I do have, however, some suggestions regarding what you wrote. I would actually add this to that, or I thought about this idea. What do you think about that? Just to make something actually valuable to the author, or to the people that can actually read a comment, then of course it can be beneficial. But other than that, spamming, like saying, hey, link to me, or something completely unrelated. And you can actually, there are situations when you can actually spot something like this in a lot of comments. But on those high quality blogs, very often I can see, especially in the SEO world, because people are so aware of it, you can actually see in the comments that they do write some some pretty interesting comments. You can actually learn something just from reading the comment itself, especially if the author of the blog or the blog article is actually replying to this and there's actually some kind of conversation. This is actually also actually a really good way of, as I said, having this contact with the expert in your niche. If you have some really great ideas for him that you can share, or something that you've spotted. Okay, so these are the black hat techniques that are totally not allowed. As I said, of course, you could potentially do them, but in the long run, they will be just really bad for your SEO. And from our experience and a lot of SEO experts, it just makes sense to invest from the very start in the white hat techniques. And those, like the general rule is just to, first of all, to optimize sites for humans. And this is also rule number one, and not the search engines. Of course, putting the search engine still in mind, but just make the content for humans, make it very valuable for them. And then also, of course, following search engine guidelines. Every search engine has their guidelines. Every search engine also have their penalties, some updates to their algorithms. And if you get familiar with them, you will also know how detrimental it can be for your website to actually follow some links, because follow some rules like black hat techniques, for instance, because there were in the past many situations when people were actually following those black hat rules or techniques, let's call them, or let's call them rules, but I mean techniques. And in general, if this happens, then in the past there were a lot of people losing the rankings because they were penalized, and it's regaining that trust is really hard. And you can actually read a lot about different case studies about people who actually were penalized. They either dropped out of rankings at all, or maybe they dropped really down, and then, as I said, regaining that, getting this content up, or in general more optimized, better optimized, SEO friendly, and also search engine friendly, is then a lot of work. So from the beginning, it's good to actually try with those white hat techniques. Okay, so I actually prepared a lot of really great examples that I would like you to look at today, to learn something from. And first of all, a pretty common idea. It of course requires some investment at first, but it's a really, of course, also nice gesture towards the people in need. For instance, it's just sponsoring a non-profit organization, a charity, or any type of event. It's great for local businesses. It can get you promoted, and just make sure that it's, maybe not make sure, because of course you can just donate to any charity and it will be still great, which that's like a double win for you actually, but just make sure that or try to donate or sponsor an event that is actually related to your business, that you can actually target some people, like potential customers, with it. All you have to do with sponsoring an event, you can actually just Google your keyword or your niche and words like become a sponsor, donate, or like our supporters, things like that. So another thing would be also making sure that they can link to you. Usually they want to link to you, and also usually those websites tend to be pretty authoritative. If this is like a non-profit organization, for instance, like a well-known one, then you can be actually linked to. Of course, if it's just a mention and not a link, it will still be beneficial for you that someone mentioned you, but of course you want to make sure that they link to you as well. Okay, another thing would be to thank. So you're writing an article and you do want to put, generally when you are creating content, you can of course make some links that are pointing to your content on the website. However, you also really want to link outside of your website as well. You want to draw the readers also to some sources outside that are available, and some things that are really valuable and can be valuable to them. So once you do that, the author of this article may not notice it. Maybe they are monitoring their backlinks profile, maybe they don't, maybe they missed it. It would be really beneficial to just write out to them and say thank you for actually creating such a great content that you could share it. And what it actually triggers is that the person will most likely want to actually let's call it pay their debt, like reciprocate and want to do something in return, because you did in a way gave them a favor of creating this link. Of course they will want to link to you at some time if you have this valuable content. So it all, as I said at the beginning, it all starts with a great content that you can share, that people can link to. But of course, if you reach out to this person, make sure that you don't say like, hey, I linked out to you and here's a great article that I did write, maybe you would like to link to me, because that's on the border of like link exchange in a sense. Make sure that this person, like, make it more subtle. So don't just throw yourself on this person saying, hey, I did it, you should now pay back, but just make sure that you thank them, and you just don't pressure them into writing this back, because this is like begging for links, and people actually, especially if this is a website, like a trustworthy website, that they probably get those requests a lot. So the more friendly it is and the less pushy it is, the better for you it will be. Okay, another really great technique is finding broken links and replacing them with yours. So first of all, what you have to actually do is find the resources that are relevant and authoritative, and just look for those broken links on those sites. What you can do is you can just Google keywords like, your keyword plus the resource page, or plus recommended links, or just links. You can also just pick a specific domain that you would like to get a link from, and add a keyword. And then you have to start looking for those broken links. Now, I have to admit, this is a pretty daunting task. This will require a lot of time, a lot of research. However, it will really pay off if you do it thoroughly, and you can actually find some really amazing backlinks opportunities. What you can actually use, I'm actually using. Usually I'm using Screaming Frog SEO Spider tool. You can also choose Google Chrome extension, which is called Check My Links. There are also different tools out there that you can try. They're for free. And you just have to find this resource that you would like to be linked to, or some website, and just look for those broken links. Before I go into the next slide where I'll show you how I do it, I would also like to mention that a really great idea is also to look at Wikipedia. It may not always work for you, but sometimes it just can. The way that it works is that on Wikipedia, very often when a link is not longer there, instead of not this, like you, let me put it this way, Wikipedia just, instead of not saying anything, they actually, next to this link, they put this information that it's a dead link. Now, if you actually Google Wikipedia, your keyword with this or your niche, for instance, and the word dead link, you will actually pretty easily just Google any Wikipedia site that has a dead link on it, and it's also related to your business. So if you Google it and if you find it, you can just skim through it and find that maybe there are some resources that are no longer there, and you can actually exchange it and have the link instead exchanged. There are also on Wikipedia, they also have a list of all the dead external links. I did post a link to it. Here you can see on Wikipedia category all articles with dead external links. However, it's also just a nice idea to look for it. As I said, it may not work for every business, but there are opportunities, and you can actually look for it. So now coming back to Screaming Frog and actually checking the broken links. So what I would typically do, and you can actually, as I was saying, you can put the keyword, the resource page, recommended links, etc. What I did here is I actually put a keyword, which was green coffee, and I was looking for resource pages, and I did found that I was looking at the like 10 first results, and after I found the specific websites, I did put it into the Screaming Frog tool. I did find one that had some broken links, and you can actually see it here. So in general, what you have to do in the Screaming Frog SEO Spider tool, you have to put this page in, you have to start scanning, then you have to go to the response code, because what you actually want to receive is a 404 error, so this website not found. So what I actually did, I picked the response codes, I filtered the client error for something that's going to be 404, 403, 404, etc. And I did go to this. I did look at every single one of those links. They all were either not found or forbidden. And then if you actually if you click on that link and then go into links, you can actually see exactly that on this page it links to this other particular page, and this is actually a broken link. And then knowing that and skimming through it, through the content, you can actually see what was written about it. And maybe one of those, and actually in my situation, one of those was a really potential link that I could get. I would just have to reach out. Sorry, I would just have to reach out to the webmaster of that page and just reach out saying, hey, I noticed this page. It's really great that you're putting this out. I did, however, notice that this is a dead link and they are not longer existing on the market. And however, I actually wrote something like this, and feel free to add it or something like that. Of course, again, not too pushy, but make sure it just adds value. And very often, webmasters, they're pretty appreciative of the fact that you actually found something, and you found something that would be valuable for the reader to actually change it. As I said, this is a pretty daunting task to find those broken links, but it just really, really, really pays off. So make sure to try this at home, let's call it that way. Okay, so let's move on to another great technique, which is actually guest blogging, but of high quality. So what I would definitely recommend, and what we actually do both one way and the other way, is just blogging for high quality related sites in similar industries. So just we try to produce quality content that will draw readers to the site, and in such a way, you can get a lot of like solid readers in general. So so what you like, the way that you should be doing this is, or as I would maybe not that you should, but the way that you could do it is just to look for sites where the influencers in your niche contribute. You can also just Google words like the keyword or the niche in URL. Or like guest post guidelines, write for us, guest blogging, things like that. And just try to reach out and say that you've created this and this and this article. It had a really good outcome, or like a lot of people shared it, and you also recently created a really cool article, or you want to create some, and would they be interested in some type of guest blogging. It happens very often. Also, we at Positionally, we also get tons and tons of requests. Of course, it's really important that it is of high quality, and you have to make sure that the content, as I said, you are creating is of high quality, and that they can actually even recommend you later on that, okay, you were a really great guest blogger, you had some really great content, and it's just worth to have you on their site as a the guest blogger even next time, because if you know, if the cooperation was great, if this contact was great, you can actually become their more frequent even guest blogger, and you can get a lot of benefits from that. And I would actually want to say about those advantages. So one thing, of course, is this high quality backlink that you can get. Then you also get this wide readership, so a lot of people will be actually you know, reading about you, even though this is not your direct audience in a sense, but actually a lot of people will be reading something that you wrote, and they may just find your content valuable. They will share it, they will remember it, and you will just become a more, with time, you can even become an expert. So, you know, your online reputation can increase. And also what's really great, if you add those social media channels through which people can get to know you, you can actually increase the social media followers base that you have through this guest blogging. Okay, another great technique is, of course, getting inspiration from your competition. You know, how can you do it? Firstly, you can just keep track of their newly found backlinks, and you can actually do it, for instance, in Positionally. All you have to do is add their website as your own website. So like you have your one project, or you have your two websites that you're monitoring. All you have to do is just add their website as a new website, and you don't have to add any keywords. We'll just start fetching those backlinks straight away. As I said, our backlinks provider is Majestic, so we do have all their data fetched every 2 or 3 days. It gets automatically to Positionally, so you can keep track of their newly found backlinks and just get inspiration from where they are featured. You can then reach out to similar places. You can reach out to the same places even, and just you know, maybe there is something that you haven't thought before. You know, that some sources or some places where you thought like, oh, I would never thought about it. However, it's really relevant, and it's a really great idea to be featured in such a place. So adding it and monitoring it in the backlinks tool, that's one thing. Another thing that I would definitely recommend is setting up a Google alert. And all you have to do is just have to put the name of your site, so like site, the name of your competitor's site, and create an alert. You can make this customized. You can set alerts to be sent out every time you know, a mention appears. You can set it up when either when a mention appears, or I don't know, you have like a daily summary of all the mentions. So once you actually understand what your competition is doing, where they are, where they're featured, you can actually just act accordingly and do what you can to just be better by not using them, but by even using them as an example, in a sense, just as I said, drawing inspiration. They are not your enemies. I mean, what I think is really great about competition, it's just, you know, you have the same goal to just create something that is really valuable, and it will be although it may be really hard and challenging for you to create this really great content and just to, you know, compete with your competition, the end user is actually very satisfied, and thanks to that competition, the end user will get the best material possible. And you actually, as a receiver in a different context, you also benefit from this greatly. So I think it's great that we can actually get this inspiration from each other, because for sure your competition is doing the same thing. They are looking at you and at your steps. Okay, another thing would be to seek out brand mentions and ensuring they're linked. For that, you can also use Google Alerts and just put your website. You can also just Google your website and see where you're mentioned. You can also look for citations, so just Google keyword and minus your website, and then there may be a situation, and it happens pretty frequently, when you can be mentioned but you are not linked. Maybe someone did it on purpose, maybe they didn't. The best idea is just to ask for a link. Ask, okay, I noticed you mentioned us, but would it be possible for you to actually link to us? Or like, it would be great if you could link to us so that people can actually go to our site and see what we're offering, or get more some valuable information with time from you. As you can see on the example here, there was actually I did found an article when they were writing about Cafe Lax, but there was no link whatsoever. So actually what Cafe Lax could do, or I would definitely recommend to do, is just to reach out to this website and ask for a pretty link. It shouldn't be a problem, and it could just benefit the reader, because actually readers, they do like to go from one site to another, check out, okay, it's Cafe Lax, let's see how it looks like, etc. So just make sure, this is one thing, ask for the link, and also, if possible, make sure that the link is appropriate. So make sure that if they click on Cafe Lax, they're directed to the homepage. If, for instance, this was an explanation of some specific product or something, I don't know, some specific coffee, coffee type that Cafe Lax is offering, I would definitely try to make sure that they are linking to the specific landing page that explains different types of coffee, or this specific coffee that we are talking about in this article. Okay, moving on, we have two also really great, I would say, win-win situations techniques. Sounds pretty convoluted, but let me just explain. The first one is writing testimonials. So in general, this is something that, as I said, it's a totally win-win situation. So as you can see, here are actually examples from Positionally. What is really great about testimonials is that by writing a testimonial for an app or software or website you're using, by writing that, you can get a link from that site. For a website, as Positionally, this is a really great, maybe not a way of promoting, but it's just really valuable that someone can actually read a positive comment, or the way that somebody is using a platform, what benefits he finds. So as I said, it's a win-win situation. It's some type of exchange, but it's a really natural exchange, and it's just really nice that you can actually get those opinions about your product from the people that are most satisfied with what you're offering, and in return, you as a person who is writing this can get something in return. We can get something in this sense, of course, a backlink. So definitely, what would be advised would be to just prepare a list of all the apps and, as I said, websites you're using, reaching out to them and asking if you can do it, if they would be willing, and believe me, they will be happy to get this testimonial from you in return for the backlink. And of course, then writing a testimonial, but make sure it's just an app that you really enjoy using. So it's not like, oh, I will link to them because like it's an authoritative site. I hate their software, or I hate their website, but let me just do it. Just, I think for the sake of, again, for the customers, just for you to also feel fair towards other users, just make sure you write down and list all the softwares that you really like using. So this is testimonials. These are like short pieces of information that are signed with your name and the name of your business. Another thing is writing a case study. This is exactly the same steps. So, preparing a list of apps you're using and that you like using, reaching out, asking if they would be interested in a case study, and then, of course, writing this case study. One thing is just the case studies are longer to write. They are also more, I would say, from the perspective of a website, they are more valuable because you're just writing more things. But then also you are not just signing this with your name, but then you're also explaining your product, you're explaining or your business. So case studies are way longer, and of course you are writing like, oh, how this tool benefits me in my work, but you are also explaining a lot about your business. So this can be, even though you have to do more, it will be more beneficial. So just, I would say, do both because writing a testimonial is pretty easy and fast, and you can get a really nice backlink. Writing case studies longer, but it can give you more information about your product. Okay, moving on. We also have building relationships with industry peers and experts, and definitely a great idea would be to, because eventually you would like to become an influencer. I would assume you would like to become an influencer eventually. So make sure you try to reach out to, first you try to reach out to influencer in your niche and just start to building this relationship. What you can actually do is reaching out to them, of course by email first, but then also via social media. This is a really great way that you can really notice everywhere. So you can tweet them some, or again, make this something useful and valuable. So you can tweet them something useful and new, of course, tag them as well. Also, you can tweet them saying, hey, the name of the author. Hey, Positionally, thanks for writing such a great piece of content on this and this, and for instance, assigning a link and tagging that, tagging this particular expert or company that you really want to be noticed by. Doing this via social media is a really great and powerful way of actually getting in contact and building this relationship. Another thing would be emailing them, but here personalization is key, so make sure those emails are very personalized. Of course, it's very often it's really hard to get through a lot of emails. So, tweeting is, you can reach out faster. You can also like tweet them a video, for instance. It can be even more personalized. With emails, I would say at this point in time is harder. Although I would definitely assume, and I think it's not even an assumption, but a lot of people that are experts in a specific field and they are content writers, they do open all the emails and they read them because it may be a potential maybe not a client, but potential blogger, for instance, for the website, or someone that can be also valuable for them. However, make sure that it's personalized and it's something catchy and something creative. And also you can try, when it comes to emails, another thing is that you can actually try, if you don't know the email address, there are some ideas. It can be a name, at, and the name of the business can be the first initial, a surname, at, or name and surname, at, and the name of the business, and things like that. And you can actually try, if you don't know the email address, you can try with this. Make sure that you just don't get discouraged. Of course, do not mass email everyone in your niche. Make sure it's more selective. And also with those emails, make sure you just keep going. And just with SEO, you just have to be hard, like you have to be tough and not give up too easily. Okay. I also prepared, actually, these are really great techniques by one of my favorite authors when it comes to backlinks. I'm pretty sure you may be familiar with Brian Dean from Backlinko. He has actually two really amazing techniques that we are also using. And this would be, first one is called the Moving Man method. And the idea is to just reach out to sites linking to outdated sources. This is pretty similar to the broken links. However, there are some differences. First of all, it's really important that you reach out to authoritative sites in your niche. So again, they have to be relevant. And you are, as I said, you are reaching out to sites that are linking to websites that are either rebranded, that move to a new URL, or just are shut down. And now you have to find those websites that run out of business. What you can do is just Google words like rebrands as, I don't know, service not available, page no longer exists, keywords like that. And also you can set those Google alerts. Make sure you also add the niche to that, or the name of the keyword. And it's also a pretty daunting, sorry, I just have some message here pop up, but I see everything is good. I thought there was something wrong with the sound, but I think it's fine. If something is wrong with the sound, again, just please let me know. Yeah, so I of course I lost my train of thought, but I think I was talking about like setting up Google alerts for that. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. But anyway, just make sure you try to find those that are moving or shut down or getting out of business. You should be monitoring some specific, niche in general, in general what is happening. And if you do find those websites, another step, or the next step, is to find the website that are linking to that outdated page. And what you have to do is just put the outdated source in some type of backlinks checker tool. You can do it in Majestic. You can also try to do it with Positionally with our backlinks tool. However, in Positionally, we are fetching all the most current ones. So there will, if Majestic shows some historical data like the lost, then it will probably appear in Positionally. However, you can, you can, as I said, you can do it in Majestic, you can do it in Positionally, and just look for those links that are pointing out to this outdated page. Make sure you find what is valuable and what you would actually like to be pointing to you. Now, if you have the list of those websites that are linking to that outdated page, you should start reaching out to those people regarding this outdated link. So, make sure that you write this really personalized email. Also, again, do not push for backlink. Make it more personalized, and not personalized, but make it less pushy in a sense. You can also, I think, what would be beneficial is to just write to that person, not only, I found that you are pointing to an outdated link, but also make some positive comment about a content, and also you can write about different ideas of links that or content that they could link to. Let me just check. I see there's a comment. But I will reply to this. I thought it was maybe regarding the sound, but I do see that it's a comment for the questions at the very end. I will reply to all those messages at the very end. Let me just go to the till the end of it. So as I said, you should be reaching out to those people nicely and with personalized emails, asking for that you wrote this as part of a type of content, and that they could link to you instead of this outdated page. As I said, it's a really sensitive situation, so you have to make sure that you do not pressure them into doing that, but just nicely offering that you found it and that you think that they would benefit from it. Again, the content has to be of high quality. Okay, moving on. Whoops, no, I cannot. Okay. We also, another thing from Brian Dean this is the last technique that I wanted to tell you about, is a skyscraper technique. And first, what you have to do in the skyscraper technique, again, it's all about content, creating some really great content. First, what you have to do is to find content that's already generated a lot of links. What you could do is, first of all, Google what the keywords that you want to rank for, and see all the pages that show up, like for instance, the first 10 pages that show up. And then you could, for instance, put it into Majestic and look at the referring domains. And if the referring domains there are less than 25, then maybe it's not the best source. But then if you have, then if there are more than 25 domains, referring domains pointing to their site, then it's a valuable source that you would like for those domains to become going to your site, not to their site. So another step then would be just to create something better, and it has to be better on all the levels possible. So it has to be more in depth, more up to date. It has to be engaging. It has to be better designed. It just has to be so captivating that when a person that you later on reach out to, that they are like, oh wow, this is way more valuable to my readers, and they will actually benefit more from it than from the content that I am linking to right now. So what you have to do is to reach out to, as I said, to those people, and you can actually do this by first, getting this list. You can actually again go to Majestic, download those links that are pointing to that are pointing to your competitors' content, and then you can just also filter through that, because some of them may be totally irrelevant or irrelevant, or just find the prospects that work for you and that are already linking to related content, or they're just related to you, and then you can just offer just let them know that you've created this type of content, that it's more up to date, that is just maybe don't brag too much, but just make sure they are interested in that. And of course it will not work every time, but it can work wonders. But you have to make sure that the content is really top-notch, and it's just that the difference between the content that you're trying to get the links from is just way better. In some niches it's really difficult to create a better content, because there's such a great content out there, but there are situations for certain keywords where you can just see that the content that somebody created, of course it is good, but you can really make the call way better. Okay, so before I finish, I just wanted to also mention the nofollow, dofollow thing that I think it's really important. Let me just explain briefly what a dofollow, nofollow is. In general, if a link is a dofollow, and the links are dofollow by default, it means that when I did mention the link juice before, so it means that the site linking to you, it tells the search engine crawlers to follow the link. So the search engine, if it is a dofollow, and as I said, all the links by default are dofollows, it tells the search engine, hey, there's a link, look at this link, it's valuable. And this means that they're passing on the link juice to your website. And this, of course, can translate into boosting your rankings. And now there may be a situation when someone changed, and maybe not change, but instead of a dofollow, they did add so-called nofollow tag. And when a link is a nofollow, it does not pass on their link juice, and it just may not help your domain to get better results in the SERPs. So what you would have to do is, when you are managing and you are looking through this backlinks profile, and you can actually do it in Positionally, you just have to filter the nofollow links that are of high or medium quality. Make sure you look at all of those, and you can pretty easy. Just reach out to the webmaster. Maybe he's done it on purpose. Maybe they have just this rule that all their links are nofollow. It depends on the website, really. But it doesn't, it's not a problem to ask the webmaster and just ask for deleting a nofollow tag, because you would really like this link juice to be passed on. Of course, it also works the other way around. Maybe it's not so much related with per se with earning backlinks, but if you have do follow links that are of low quality, then you also have to make sure that there are a lot of spammy ones. You also have to make sure to reach out and try to make those links of low quality the other way around, so no follows. So if this doesn't work, you can also use the disavow tool, the Google disavow. And in such a way, just get rid of all those links, just to make sure that the search engine crawlers, they do not see it and they do not regard it as a part of your backlinks profile. And lastly, I did want to point out some things to remember in terms of links. One thing is optimizing the anchor text, which is this visible and clickable element of a text link, and make sure that to avoid potential penalties from search engines, it is recommended that most of your text links should have neutral anchor text. So it shouldn't be too much keyword optimized. It's best if it's just the name of the brand. Another thing is checking the target. To find out the web page another site is linking to is the correct one. And I did mention it regarding the Cafe Lax, that you do want to make sure that, okay, I wrote about, like someone wrote about Cafe Lax, they did write about a specific product. So I want them to link not to the home page, but I want them to link to the specific landing page. And another, I think, but the last thing, I think the easiest way just to get a backlink, no, maybe not the easiest, but easiest would be with the nofollow tag. But one also of the things is just, if you find some lost links in your account, they may have been lost for several reasons, but also make sure that you reach out to the webmaster to regain them, because in such a way, they've already linked to you. You can also try to, if he says no, you can also offer maybe not regaining this lost link, but maybe you want to post some more valuable one, more updated one. Just make sure you work on that.